Oops. What's going on, man? What's going on, man? Oh.
Henry?
Yes, we can't hear you, President. What's up?
Sorry.
Mhm. Wow.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but vaguely.
Are you sure? We can hear him very clearly.
Is it my network?
I think it's your network. It's
I
your
think
network.
so. It's
Yeah,
not
now it's
better.
better. Huh?
He's very clear.
Okay. All right, about the group, we go through the rituals, please. Start with the rituals.
Thank you very much, President, and a warm welcome to all our guests and colleagues from Rotary. And we'll start with the norms for Rotary as requested by the President. And can I ask Sekoko Alan to give us the grace? Alan, you're muted.
Yeah, thank you very much, by the group leader, Nakoko Rita. And thank you, Mr. President. If we all humble ourselves, wherever we are, for the grace. O God and giver of all good, we thank you for our daily food and fellowship today. May Rotary friends and Rotary ways help us to serve you all of our days.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sekoko Alan. Could we have Sekoko Henry give us the loyal toast?
Yes, Rotarians, Rotractors, and guests, let's humble ourselves for the royal toast as we toast to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda.
To His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. And now I'd like to request Nakoko Irene to give us the four-way test. Irene?
All right, the four-way test. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Of the things we think, say, or do, 1, is it the truth? 2, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Nakoko Irene. And I will do the object of Rotary. The object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise, and in particular, to encourage and foster, first, the development of acquaintance as an opportunity for service. Second, high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of the worthiness of all useful occupations, and the dignifying of each Rotarian's occupation as an opportunity to serve society. Third, the application of the ideal of service in each Rotarian's personal, business, and community life. And fourth, the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world fellowship of business and professional persons united in the ideal of service. Thank you, my President. We are back to you.
Thank you very much, Sekoko Body Group. Today is World AIDS Day, and it's the beginning of a new month of December where we are mainly going to deal with disease and disease prevention. So I don't know whether any of you have any memories of World AIDS Day. Okay, but we'll start with a few introductions of the guests. Rita, you had a guest to introduce.
Yes, my president, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce Dr. Helen Lugone, who is the director and also practitioner of Victoria what is it? Kevina, sorry, thank you, Helen. Kevina Medical Center in along Muyenga Road. And she is interested in finding out more about Rotary. And so I'm encouraging her to visit us and pick interest, and then we'll see if she will join. So welcome, Helen. This is Kisugu Victoria View. And I'm hoping it will give you the interest in Rotary that you speak about.
Thank you so much, Rita. Thank you. I'm honored to be here, and I'm looking forward to the medical camps. I've already got an ophthalmologist who is happy to join me on the medical camps. So thank you for the invitation, Rita.
Thank you. Any other guests online? Okay, an announcement for the members of the club. I hope all of you know your friends of the year and you have started looking around for the appropriate gifts to give them. We shall have our gift exchange on the 19th of December, and that will be a Christmas party as well. Rosie Kajumba is the treasurer for that, so you start sending in your contributions to her. Nakato, you have anything to add on that announcement for the Christmas party? Or...
My president, I just hope that we can have as many as 30 people. Right now, only 10 people have confirmed, but be assured we're going to make sure we observe all SOPs, so please don't be scared. We're having it at my friend's place in Bunga. It's very spacious, so you're almost all welcome. And do contact me or President or Rosie if you want for any other details. But we hope you can all join us. And yeah, we have to pay a small amount of fee towards it, which is 32,000. So thank you very much all.
Okay, our guest speaker is online. Dennis, welcome back. Sorry, go ahead. Who was the hand up?
Phoebe.
Hi, Phoebe.
Actually, it's Robert. Can I just ask that we get reminded who our friends of the years are, please? Thank you.
Okay, I'll request Nakato will share that on the group chat. I think after or now as we go along, so that everybody can be refreshed.
Thank you.
Okay, over to you, Sekoko. Introduce our guest speaker, and then we'll come back later on.
Okay, thank you, my president. I'm glad Robert is not my friend of the year because I'd be getting very scared. But anyway, at least I know who mine is. But over to, right back into the session tonight, and Sekoko welcomes everybody present. And of course, again, the topic tonight is about hepatitis, a silent killer. And we're glad to have the best in class in Africa who's going to be taking us through this one. But without taking a lot into his presentation, I'd like to ask Rotarian Sekoko Nkem to do the introduction.
Thank you very much, President. Am I audible?
Very, very clear. You're very audible.
I'm really honored and privileged to do this assignment to introduce our guest speaker for this night. He's Dr. Mike Omotosho. He is a member of Rotary International Liquid Society and a benefactor, a second level major donor since 2008. He is on the roll of honor of the Rotary House, Lagos. Dr. Mike is a member of the Clump Society of the first African to have a turn gift under the future vision plan of the Rotary Foundation. He was club president in 2008 to 2009 during the Making Dream year and won 18 awards, including Significant Achievement Award and a mention in the June 2009 edition of the Rotary magazine. As governor of Rotary International District 9125 Nigeria, covering the 2/3 of Nigerian states and the Federal Capital Territory in the year 2015 and 2016. Let me mention here that Nigeria has 36 states. Mike traveled almost 20,000 kilometers in 150 days to commission almost 300 community intervention projects. Dr. Mike is the author of 8 books, including the world's thickest book, My Dream Nigeria, a Guinness record with almost 20,000 pages, and the mini book, Achieving Zero Hepatitis, which perhaps is the world's smallest book on hepatitis. An undaunted advocate for universal healthcare, Dr. Mike Omotosho is the vice chairman of the advisory board of Crown Point International College of Health Sciences and Technology. He is also the president of the Hepatitis Zero Nigerian Commission and the Hepatitis Zero representative of the African Union. President, permit me to introduce to you Dr. Omotosho, who I plead that we give him all our attention. Dr. Omotosho, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm assuming that's Rotarian in Ken. I'm not sure I got the name of the person introducing me. And Rotarian President, thank you so much for this opportunity. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So I'm aware I've got like...
Bit louder, please, Doctor.
Okay, I'm aware I've got like 25-30 minutes. Okay, let me see if I use, if it will be better with the earpiece. So is it louder now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Doctor, we can't hear you.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we are.
Okay, it says the internet connection is a little unstable. President, you can do like this, at least I can see you, so I know you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
President, if you do like this, I'll know you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. I think we've lost you.
I think he's muted. He's muted. Someone unmute him.
Doctor, you're muted.
The President, can you try? Can you attempt to unmute him? I've tried here, but it's still in mute. Ask to unmute. Probably you can do it as a host. President?
Yes.
Can you try and unmute him?
Yes, now confirm it.
Yeah, I can unmute here, but the problem is when I unmute here, I'm not able to share from here.
Okay, let me do this. Let me make, even as host.
Make him the co-host again. I think he lost his rights as a co-host. Just make him a co-host. Just a second, Doctor, to make him a co-host, and that will be okay.
Okay, that's one. Where's the other one?
Go ahead, Doctor. You're able to share since you're the co-host.
Okay, no, there's a little problem. You see, I mean, I'm on in two places on my iPhone, and on my laptop.
Okay.
So can you
So
take off your?
So one had gone off. One had gone
on
off.
the iPhone, on the phone. Yes.
Try and take one off and just keep to the laptop.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, keep to the laptop. Just.
No, but they're on two different networks, so it doesn't matter really.
Okay, but they both.
I can log out here
co-hosts.
if you think so. Let me try.
I've made both co-hosts.
How about now?
No, you're not being. No, I think we need to make both of them.
Can you hear me now?
I had made both co-hosts.
Can you send the presentation to us so probably we can share from our side? I'll send you the email address, the chat room. Okay. President, I think he's joining in as there's Zero Nigerian Commission, High Commission, Hepatitis is zero. Can you make him a co-host of that one as well?
Okay, on the.
You done that?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly
Yes,
now.
we can hear you.
Please make him a co-host for the Hepatitis Zero Nigerian Commission.
On the.
Yeah, make him a co-host so can probably use that one to share his presentation. It's not in yet,
Okay.
yeah?
Co-host on that one as well.
They made him have they called? Oh yeah. So are you able to share now, Doctor? I think your network is very unstable, Doctor, because now we've lost one of them. Can we just use one, or could you just send your presentation to one of us? Yeah. Because now there's the other one that he just joined in is very unstable. It's off. President, can you share your email address while I also share my email address to the doctor so that he can share his he can send forward his presentation to us.
Okay, this should be stable now. Is this better? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Awesome. So I'll just go ahead. What I did is I disabled one. So you can see the presentation now?
Perfect.
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Sorry about that. So let me move quickly then. We're running behind schedule. Thank you for the invitation. So I'll just rush through. We're talking about achieving hepatitis 0 in Africa. And what I intend to do is take us through just about 20 slides broken into these 7 topics. What hepatitis is, about 4 or 5 slides. Then global updates, basically data. Then we dovetail international data, what the data says in Kenya and in Nigeria and pretty much all of Africa. Then what are the SDG plans, the Sustainable Development Goals. And then what hepatitis 0 really is. There's a few confusion between the World Hepatitis Eradication Initiative, Hepatitis 0, and the Rotary Action Group. So we'll be clarifying all of those today. And then what we do with our signature project, the Hepatitis 0 Week, which is an annual weekly event. And then hopefully we'll have time for me to entertain questions if we rush through. Basically, hepatitis is a viral inflammation of the liver. It's similar to HIV that suppresses the immune system of the person. But this virus actually targets just the liver. It doesn't do any other thing, but it compromises the capability of the liver. And it does this in 4 stages. First, it compromises the capacity of the liver at the beginning so that it performs at suboptimal level. Then the next phase, it's what is called liver fibrosis, where there's scarring on the liver and the cells cannot perform the way they should perform. Sorry. Then from there, we have liver cirrhosis and then liver cancer. By the time it's bordering between liver cirrhosis and liver cancer, it means the liver is gone and the liver cannot perform the way it ordinarily would, except it is either transplanted or grafted. Liver grafting is a new method that is still being experimented in some Western countries, but is not very popular in Africa yet. So the most important thing to note here is that hepatitis actually affects the liver. Now, when the liver is bad, it may not be to hepatitis alone. And that's why you see people say certain things like viral hepatitis. There's also alcohol hepatitis. There's toxin hepatitis resulting from the intake of maybe toxic materials or too much alcohol or so. However, what we're particular about is viral hepatitis. And
about 1.5 million deaths, in fact, 1.467 million deaths globally are as a result of viral hepatitis alone. There are different types of hepatitis, even A to Z. However, there are 5 predominant ones that we all know. So I'll be focusing for the purpose of this presentation on just 3 groupings, the A and the E. The A and the E basically are self-limiting, meaning they will come and they hardly kill. They just cause some debilitation, meaning you are not able to function the way you should function, like when you're sick. But the moment that's sorted, you're okay and you're back to normal life. So it seldom kills. However, it still affects us all over the world. Then you have the B and the C, who are similar. Now, the B and the C are the ones that were most concerned. I see the president trying to cover his nose. So the B and the C are the ones that are most dangerous and deadly. They actually cause deaths as much as, in fact, the 1.6 million that we're talking about, or 1.467 million that we're talking about globally, are as a result of B and C. The irony of it is that B is actually a DNA virus, which is similar to the HIV virus. So unfortunately, it does not have a cure, just like HIV. But fortunately, it has a vaccine, and that's the beauty of it. The C that does not have a vaccine has a cure. But please don't get confused. The fact that I'm saying it doesn't have a cure does not mean it cannot be treated. In medical parlance, there's a difference between treatment and cure. If somebody presents with an ailment and I'm able to offer you something, that is treatment. If it results in cure or not is a different issue. So for instance, we do have treatment regimen for COVID-19, but there's no cure yet for COVID-19. So people use hydroxychloroquine, they use azithromycin and all of those basically as treatment, but there's still no cure yet until we're able to say the moment you take this, it will result absolutely in total delineation of the ailment, then you can say there is a cure. So C has a cure, but B does not have a cure. But both B and C can be treated. B has a vaccine, but C does not have a vaccine. Now D, I put in D there because D is similar, but they found that there are some people who have hepatitis B and they behave in a funny way. So they now realize there's actually another virus which is superimposed, more or less a co-infection when the person has B. So you can't actually have somebody that has D alone. It's a worse form of B, and that's why they just call it D. So for ease of classification, we have A, B, C, D, and E, basically. I'll talk about the routes of transmission quickly so you'll see them. Basically, what makes hepatitis even more dangerous is that, you know, unlike some other ailments where you begin to know, okay, when you have this symptoms, this is where like in cancer now, for instance, the moment you see a tumor, you begin to get afraid. The moment you begin to have body pains and loss of appetite, you begin to feel you have malaria. But with hepatitis, there are regular symptoms like nausea. Nausea is actually not vomiting. It's the feeling of vomiting. It's not even vomiting. So mild fever is just the same kind of temperature that you have, but just slightly higher. Fatigue is simply tiredness. So you're not really, really tired, but it's just a feeling of being tired. Now, you may have stomach pain. You may even have dark urine, and most of us can have dark urine because we don't drink enough water, for instance. So you see, the problem are that the symptoms of hepatitis are regular symptoms that we take for granted. They're a way of life, and that's what makes hepatitis even more dangerous, because it doesn't have clear-cut symptoms that you will know that this is hepatitis except you do the test. Or if you begin to see these signs, then you quickly rush to go and do the test, then you can confirm if you have one or the various forms of hepatitis. Besides that, you will never know. However, there are 2 telltale signs. The first one is edema, and then the other one is jaundice. Jaundice is yellowing of the eyes and yellow patches on the screen, on the skin. Now, the problem with jaundice is if jaundice arises because of hepatitis, then it's almost certain that that liver is already gone. Now, not every jaundice is due to hepatitis. You see another problem. So once you see jaundice, it does not mean it's hepatitis. The same thing with edema. Edema is just swelling, accumulation of water in certain parts of the body. So when you see edema due to hepatitis, it means the liver is almost gone. But the fact that you see an edema does not confirm hepatitis. So that's what makes hepatitis even more dangerous. It's so easy to contract hepatitis. by sharing injectable needles, as you find with a lot of drug users, having unprotected sex, needle stick injury, maybe with healthcare professionals, maybe during providing health services, and then more importantly, from mother to child transmission. Let me quickly talk about this. I'm particular about this because a lot of people believe that once they have a pregnant mother, the child automatically has hepatitis. No, the moment she reports to the doctor, there's what they call post-exposure prophylaxis. The same way it's similar to HIV cases. If you have somebody that is HIV positive, maybe rape an innocent lady, the person, or even a lady rapes an innocent man, and the lady is HIV positive, if the culprit, the victim quickly reports to the hospital within 24 to 72 hours, there are immunoglobulins that can be administered to prevent the transmission. So the same method is applied in vertical transmission from mother to child. So you can prevent the child from actually having the hepatitis in this case too as well, is important. So, but a lot of people are not aware, especially in Africa, especially our mothers that give birth at home with some rural child bearers or housewives, or I don't know what you call them. So those are where the problem is. So it needs to start with education so that people will know and understand that it truly can be prevented. The A and the E easily you can get from sharing toothbrush. Most of our toothbrushes are very bristle. We don't know. So you can say we're siblings, you're lovers, and then you share toothbrush. And then there's no way you will not have very micro lacerations on your gum. The gum is also very, very fragile. And the moment there are streaks of lacerations that you may not even see with the naked eye, but these viruses can actually be transmitted through that. So when you also cook, you eat food that are not well cooked. I was in Tanzania, sorry, I was in Uganda earlier, no, Ethiopia earlier this year. And they actually gave me raw beef to eat. They called it a delicacy. I can't remember the name again now. I mean, those are easy ways of contracting hepatitis A and E. When you also drink water that is not potable, or when we don't wash our hands regularly and well enough. So the easiest way is to confirm with a blood test. Most of the signs may not tell you. It's probably just an indication because they're regular signs. Until you do a blood test, you have simple K3 tests that you just do with one single blood. They put in the buffer. You wait 4 to 5 minutes. It moves, and you get to see if you're positive or negative for both B or C. And once you do that, it doesn't mean you start treatment. Then you do a 5-panel test with an hepatologist or gastroenterologist who will look through, and then they will use that if there is need to check, to do a liver biopsy to check the stage of the liver. What they actually do at that level is to see the viral load count of the liver, if there is need to actually do treatment or to just maintain the viral load. Having said all of that, the next steps will be to counsel and let people know that it's not a death sentence, it's not a killer ailment. Once you catch it early, it can be prevented, and then provide supportive care, explain to them what are the other things that they can do, and also give them drugs if there is need. And of course, in worst cases, do a liver transplant. But you will notice that the liver is one of in fact, I often tell people, in my opinion, it's the most important organ of the body. Imagine the last man standing. It is both your backman and your goalkeeper at the same time for a football tournament. So imagine not having your backman and your goalkeeper during the tournament. Every ball that is targeted at the goal goes in. I say this because the liver is the organ that does about 500 different functions of the body. And what it does is to eliminate toxins, unwanted chemicals, and any alien agent within the blood. Once it's moving, it passes through the liver, and then the liver siphons it out. The liver says, hey, you're a foreign body, you don't belong here, you need to go and go. So if the liver is not there, imagine what will happen. Sorry. Unfortunately, we all have just one single liver. It's not like a lung that we have two, or the kidney that we have two. People can survive very well on one lung or one liver or one kidney, but we have just one liver. So nobody can donate a liver to you except the person is dead. And especially in this part of the world where we do not have the tradition of signing off organ donation before we die, then when people die, you don't have the right to harvest their liver and use it for a healthy person. But even if you harvest the liver, you need to be able to keep it safe till you're able to transport it to where it is needed. So those are the complications with liver transplant. But like I said, there is the liver grafting, where you take a little part of a healthy liver and you implant it in somebody whose liver is almost gone and hope that it regenerates and helps that, but it's still in advanced stages. We have vaccines too, like I said. The bulk of the vaccines that are available now are for B. There's no vaccine for C yet. China claims that it has a vaccine for E, but it's not been ascertained by WHO yet. But A has a vaccine. Excuse me. A has a vaccine that is already approved by WHO, but because it doesn't kill, it just causes debilitation and it's self-limiting. Why would you bother with something that will come and go? And ironically, that's why I tell people about COVID, just as a digression. I don't think we really need the COVID vaccines. As a medical person, I think if we focus our channel and resources on having a regimented treatment for COVID, then it will, the fear will go away. And the moment the fear goes away, all the resources that has been channeled into developing a vaccine and vaccinating over 7 billion people will have the money that will be spent well on development, meaningful development, especially in this part of the world. I'm a pharmacist, unfortunately. I do not want to support the big pharma conspiracy theory, but this just happens to be like one of them. Please do not quote me. So for now, we have basically hepatitis B vaccines available almost everywhere. This shows the global prevalence of hepatitis A, but it's similar to all of them. You see the very high places, you see all of Africa, Latin and some parts of South America. And then you see the Euro-Asia, intermediate, and then it's very low in North America and some other parts of the world. Now, about 500 million people suffer from hepatitis, 365 of this from viral hepatitis alone. So like I was saying, other forms of hepatitis occur. It's not only viral hepatitis, but viral hepatitis is the predominant one. And of this figure, about 1.67 million people die every year. And so that I'll bring this figure home, that actually means about 4,000 people dying every day. In case that is not sinking in well, it means about 3 people dying every minute. So every 20 seconds, 1 person dies of hepatitis. And this is an ailment that has treatment, that has cure, and that even has a vaccine. This should not be allowed. I tell people that hepatitis kills more people than HIV, malaria, and tuberculosis combined. Hepatitis actually kills more people than the COVID virus that we're all afraid and scared of. But nobody is talking about it because it is the silent killer. The prevalence are pretty much the same thing all through Africa with a little plus or minus 1. So between 1 in 4 to 6 African is already walking around with viral hepatitis. It may be A, B, C, D, or E. Don't forget that the A and the E are self-limiting, so they don't kill, but the B and the C can kill easily. So 1 in 5. So if we've got about 30 people on this platform now, there's almost a certainty, because we're then probably part of the elites. Maybe 1 in 10, it's that bad. So for Kenya, that has a population of about 54 million people, you should be expecting about 10.8 million people moving around with hepatitis virus. Million of those will be the dangerous one, which is B and the C. The B on the average is about 11%, between 8.8 to 11.3% for Kenya. It's similar to Nigeria too, 6.9 to about 13% in Nigeria, depending on whether it's rural or urban setting. And then the 4 million Kenyans are those with A and E who do not, they can spread the hepatitis virus, but it seldom kills and it is self-limiting. So For Nigeria, the figures are similar but higher. The percentages are similar but higher. We have about 40 million Nigerians moving around with the virus, and 27 million of those people will be moving around with the hepatitis B and C virus, while A and E will account for about 22 million. The irony, the sad irony of this is that the percentage of people who know their status is less than 10%. So like in Kenya now, because there is no awareness, maybe just about 800,000 people know their status, leaving about 6 million people who do not even know that they have the virus, going around infecting people, continue to infect people, and they've been infecting people already. We have about 22 million Nigerians who are carrying hepatitis B virus, going around infecting people, continue to infect people without even knowing that they are carriers of the virus. So in 2016, the WHO realized that with just 4 years to 2020, that was 2016, with just 4 years to 2020, and only 12 countries were on track to meeting the target of eradicating halting the transmission of communicable diseases, with particular emphasis on hepatitis. They knew this was not going to work, so they decided to adopt the WHO strategy into the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So the target 3.3.4 specifically aims to halt the transmission of communicable diseases, with particular emphasis on hepatitis by the year 2030. And that is what everybody is working with now. So the essence of hepatitis zero is to join these SDG targets, the United Nations, to achieve the SDG target 3.3, to zero the transmission of hepatitis by the year 2030. So what we intend to do, what the African Union, like during the introduction, you'll have noticed I'm also the African Union representative for the hepatitis zero, but for hepatitis zero itself. So what we're planning to do at the African Union level is to come up with a 7-point strategy. The strategic document is actually still being drawn. We had the last meeting some 27th of last month, and there are plans to still have a meeting this year again before next year. There's a 7-point plan agenda, which is to implement a decentralized and integrated strategy through national capacity building training programs. What they're trying to do is to allow each country come up with a strategy program, develop a strategy program. Like in Nigeria, for instance, we already have a strategy program, but unfortunately, like with most other African countries, you have a strategy program, but nothing happens for 5 years. Our strategy document will be expiring next year, 2021. And for 4 years, nothing has been done. And obviously nothing will be done even till next year. That's where the problem is. And the same problem, the same leadership problem we're having all across African countries. The AU also intends to produce a data analytics, which will be used to inform policy formulation, so that nations will be able to plan and then implement. That way we will have a shared strategy plan. For instance, most of the data we're talking about are estimates. There is no coordinated body that has done any study to actually confirm all of these figures. What you have are sporadic scientists doing tests and survey in different places, maybe in general hospitals, health centers, or even with HIV patients. So sorry about that. Or even with HIV patients to get this, and then they now extrapolate this data collected in a small study for the entire nation. So what WHO is trying, and what the AU is trying to do, is actually produce a system of collecting the data that will be real, that we can all use. They also intend to support and maintain the momentum for a national campaign. Because when you get down to our strategy, you'll notice people need to know about it. It is a silent killer. We need to begin to talk about it. If we need to scare people, we need to scare people. We need to begin to talk about it so that everybody gets to know that, yes, we have hepatitis. So that when mothers come in for antenatals, they test them for hepatitis. When people go for counseling, marriage counseling, they test them for hepatitis. In fact, every opportunity you have of appearing anywhere, they can test the person for hepatitis, and then quickly strengthen their capacity for national planning, providing support usually from WHO and other global bodies who can do this. And then expand public engagement so that people get to know that hepatitis is a problem, and a problem for me is a problem for you, so that we can crowdsource to actually support hepatitis policy. And then the seventh approach is to encourage equitable, not equal access to comprehensive care, so that everybody that has hepatitis has the opportunity to first treat and then hopefully get cure. And for those that do not have it, let them be at least screened and then vaccinated so that they are prevented. So that's what the African Union intends to do as its own support, as a strategic support towards the SDG target 2030. The strategy for us at Hepatitis Zero is just 4 prongs. Get talking. Let everybody begin to talk about it. Let's begin to make noise about it. For those of you who've contacted me via WhatsApp, my autoresponder is on hepatitis. So for every opportunity we have, people are talking about hepatitis. I'm delighted to talk about hepatitis, not even because it's a Rotary program, but more importantly, because it's a preventable and curable and treatable ailment. And the moment you start talking about it, then more people will get tested. And the moment they're tested, they get to know if they're positive or they're negative. And the moment they're positive, you quickly send them for further tests. And if they're lucky, they're negative, you vaccinate them. First dose immediately, second dose 30 days later, which is 1 month, and then the third dose 60 days after the first dose. And that protects them for life or 30 years, depending on the make of the vaccine. And for those that are positive, of course, they get treated. So that's the 4-pronged approach that we're using as Hepatitis Zero. For us here, I see I'm almost spending 30 minutes already, but I'll still try and be fast. I'll rush through this. We have a plan in Hepatitis Zero to do 7 key things. Encourage people to pay back forward. These are people that have enjoyed the subsidized vaccines already. And they have even, because in Hepatitis Zero, what we do is we give the testing, the screening free of charge. So we'll test people free, and then the vaccines that will probably cost about 2,500 Naira, we give it away at a subsidized rate of 1,000. So for all of those people that have enjoyed this, for instance, in Nigeria, about 106,000 people have enjoyed this subsidized vaccine. So we encourage them to pay it forward. Now, if you've gotten the vaccine at 1,000, that is supposed to cost you about 2,500, 1/3 the price, and you've gotten the testing free, and you feel up to it, you can also pay this forward and use it to support other people. And we've gotten a few people come up to do that. Then we now have people that we call Zero Heroes, who are willing to give about $250, $2.50, basically to vaccinate one person, to subsidize the vaccination of one person, and do this for 10 months deliberately. So that way, you know, you're actually subsidizing the vaccination of 10 different persons. That's the logic. So we call them Zero Heroes. And then we try to get in advocates like wives of governors who can come in, opinion leaders, influencers who can also be advocates and speak for hepatitis. We have medical advocates, media advocates, global advocates, royal advocates. We have them in different under different titles and different categories. Then we also came up with a few social media campaigns that tie COVID with hepatitis. For instance, we let them know that a virus cannot end the world. And if a virus is going to end the world, it will not be COVID, because hepatitis actually kills more people than COVID. So we're not in any way underlining, reducing the importance of the COVID-19 itself, but we're trying to bring hepatitis to the same level so that people can begin to talk about it. We also came up with a campaign that says hepatitis kills more people than HIV, malaria, and tuberculosis daily. And in fact, on the average, hepatitis kills more people than COVID on a daily basis, killing 4,000 people. So we came up with a few media campaigns. Of course, we've got some backlash, but it's good. It's good. It's good publicity. It's got to be deliberate so people get to know about hepatitis. Then we go to companies too for corporate social responsibility. Instead of telling us to give us money, we request for support in terms of in kind, not in cash. I'll give you an example. There is a mall in Jabi in Abuja here where the central atrium goes for on average about $500. They give us this atrium every other week for 3 months, and that is a huge value. And we've been using that for about 6 months now. And if you calculate that, that's about $30,000. You'll agree with me that it would be difficult to get them to give us $30,000, but by making that space available, it became a lot easier to actually work with them and get them to support us. So that's part of the strategies we're using. We also started a social enterprise where, I don't know if you're able to see this, where we tell people we manufacture hand sanitizers, and we'll partner people, and then we'll let them know part proceeds from this actually goes to hepatitis zero. And then with the advent of COVID, we're able to solicit funding globally. The entire world is now our global workspace, and we can crowdfund locally. Now, I'm sure a lot of people have been waiting to hear this very part. So, you know, the way we have the Rotary action groups for several areas. Let me go one step backward. We have the World Polio Eradication Initiative, which is a signature program of the Rotary Foundation. But Rotary International realized in going into polio, and we thought we'd just go in and come out. Over 30 years, $1.5 trillion, over 1 billion children immunized. We still have polio in 2 countries of the world. So Rotary does not want to make that mistake again. And that was the basis for encouraging Rotarians to form action groups. And of course, you know, fellowships are different from action groups. So the action groups work with the focus areas. So you can now have an action group for hepatitis eradication. So this is a Rotary action group for hepatitis eradication. So the name itself is actually World Hepatitis Eradication Initiative. That is how it is registered. But it is a Rotary action group for world hepatitis eradication, basically. Now, the project's name itself is Hepatitis Zero. So it's just a brand that we're pushing. So the Hepatitis Zero is not registered. It's a brand name, the way you have Coke and you have Coca-Cola. So the real name is Coca-Cola, but it is probably registered in Nigeria, for instance, as Nigerian Bottling Company. But the brand is actually Coke. So you say, just give me a bottle of Coke. So here we just say Hepatitis Zero, and it's easy to remember. But the registered name is World Hepatitis Eradication Initiative. But it is known in Rotary as a Rotary Action Group for hepatitis eradication. So our signature project every year is the Hepatitis Zero Week. In 2019, globally, we vaccinated over 1 million persons in 9,620 locations, 115 countries. Today, we're in 146 countries. You know, it's so easy to spread because wherever there's Rotary, you can have the Rotary Action Group there. We had the involvement of 120 Rotary clubs with 13 civil society organizations, all for the world biggest hepatitis project in 2019. We actually applied for the World Guinness record. We didn't make it, but I'm sure we can try something else again subsequently. For 2020, because we did not have the flexibility of going out, we had some other different strategies. I'll just keep that, but most of them were online. So basically, what I've tried to run through, I see I've gone like 5 minutes above my time. That's why I'm skipping that. We now have a broad idea of what hepatitis is, the global updates, our national statistics in Kenya and Nigeria, what the SDG target 3.3.4 is, what they intend to achieve from the African Union, what hepatitis zero is as it relates to hepatitis, World Hepatitis Eradication Initiative and the Rotary Action Group for hepatitis eradication, what we do in our signature project as Hepatitis Zero Week. And then I hope I still have 1 or 2 minutes to entertain questions if the president will allow. Rotarian President, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I haven't seen any questions. Any people with questions, we can have the hands up.
President, I have a question. While he was speaking, I wrote my question down on a piece of paper, but he seemed to have addressed it. But the first question, what can Rotary do to bring hepatitis like polio
to 0. He has addressed it by Rotary Action Group. Now, a follow-up to that. This Rotary Action Group, is it here in Uganda?
Yes, we did. I'm sure we do have, yes. I can't remember who the president of the commission is, because what we do is, yes, we do have a presence in Uganda. Each country where there's Rotary, Uganda is too important in Africa not to have a representative. I have the list, and I'll probably share with the president so that you can link up with him. So each country has a president commission. So what I'll do is so that you will get to know who he or she is and probably link up. We have in Uganda, we have in Kenya, we have in some African countries. We're actually present in 146 countries. And those are countries where we have Rotary because it's a Rotary Action Group.
Okay. The action group, is it different from the advocate?
No. Advocate. Please take that again.
I say the Rotary Action Group.
Yes.
Is it different from advocate? One being an advocate of hepatitis in a particular.
Okay, no. Okay, let me clarify. I'm sure you're confusing that with the advocate that I used in my presentation. If you had been at a few conventions earlier before 2018, maybe 2016, 2017, we had the Hepatitis 0 booth, where we're trying to recruit Rotarians to be a part of it. And you will get a pin for being an ambassador. That was the word we used then. So that was just a ploy to recruit a lot of Rotarians. And that was the basis for the Hepatitis 0 week in 2017 and 18. So once you register as an Hepatitis 0 ambassador, we'll take your details and you represent your club. So what we did then was to send test kits to those clubs, and then they will screen people. But no plans was made for vaccination. So we had to make local plans for vaccination. Yeah, but of course, all of that has changed. Now, yes, you're still an ambassador, you're still an advocate. They're all semantics. I mean, once you fight for a cause, once you believe in the cause, we're all together, whatever title we call it.
Okay. This Nkem, I'm still asking a question.
Okay.
Now, in our club, what do you advise us to do, President? What do you advise us to do at Kisugu Victoria View? As an advocate, a Rotary Action Group, what is your advice for us?
One, I think would join
the action group.
Yes, go ahead.
Did you hear me?
I would encourage us to join us the action group, which you can do that from on the My Rotary. You go on My Rotary, and you can be able to join the action group from there. Then once you're in the action group, I think they usually send the people that I'm part of. They usually send regular updates by email. Then you can get to participate. So I'll encourage as many of us as can to join the action group by My Rotary. Okay, any other questions?
I think that works fine. Additionally, we can also support individually if members or the president will want to recommend key opinion leaders, maybe people in the government or people who have a voice, or particularly in health, to talk about this, or even social media influencers, actors, musicians also, who would agree to speak for hepatitis, because the most important part is to get talking. People need to know that there's a silent killer. And you can imagine just one social media influencer and then reaching out to maybe millions of people, it helps make the job a lot easier. And then once you can do that, more and more people will begin to test for it. And the moment they test, then you can sieve out those that are positive from those that are negative, and then do the needful.
Okay, there's a question in the chat room.
There's a question in the group chat.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rita.
Okay. Marion Edruma is asking, why do you think many people don't know that hepatitis kills as much as HIV or COVID-19?
Because there's no information. People do not even know. That's where the problem is. There's no information at all. Nobody is talking about us. I hate to share this. You know, people are only bothered when it concerns them directly. So you say, because the West, I mean, Europe and America, for instance, have been vaccinating against the virus for almost 30 years. So anybody in Europe or America at our age probably is already vaccinated. And then the B, that's the vaccination for the B. The C, that does not have a vaccine has a cure, but the cure is very expensive. It's about $90,000. Now the Medicaid or any healthcare system they have will cater for that. So the problem is not a very serious problem for them. It's our problem here. And unfortunately for us in Africa, if the West does not come to make noise about our problem, we don't take it up. And that's why we need to make this noise ourselves. We need to let the people know, let our people know that our people cannot continue to die needlessly. And that's why we must get talking about it. First, that's the key thing. We all need to get talking. We all need to become advocates. We all need to go for the screening. Because once you now go for the screening, you get to know if you're positive or negative. And there's a cure, there's a treatment, there's a vaccination. So people should not be dying. But we need to get talking about it. This is the same strategy that was used for HIV some 16, 20 years ago. Until we started making a lot of noise, governments did not take it seriously. And without government involvement, there's very little that the private sector can do. And there's even a lot smaller that civil society organizations and humanitarian organizations like Rotary can do really. You notice even with polio, we had to enlist the big money backs like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who was supporting us $2 for every $1. We had to now enlist the WHO to make it work. With Rotary alone, we probably wouldn't have gone far. So there has to be a lot of talk, high network talks, advocacy at the highest level, but even at the low levels, let's keep talking about it. That's the first thing we need to get talking. Now you know something. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, Keme again. The test for this hepatitis,
yes,
is it readily available in local hospitals or referral hospitals? For instance, today, I went to check my prostate cancer.
Yeah.
I did it 3 years ago. Okay. I went to Cancer Institute. They told me they closed the whole unit. That because of COVID, the whole unit for screening is closed. So I had to go to a private place to check it again.
Yeah.
So is this test for hepatitis available in some of these local clinics we have around us here?
Yes, it should be available, but it's not usually available in government hospitals for free. And that is part of what the African Union is trying to advocate. So that if it is available the way HIV testing is available for free, then more and more people will not just know about it, but will be encouraged to be a part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so yes, it is available, but it is paid for. Like in Nigeria, there's about 2,500 naira to even 5,000, depending on the caliber of the hospital you go to. And that's about $10. So and to do the test for about $10 will be expensive, but by the time it's subsidized or made available, which is what we do at Hepatitis Zero free, then more people will know their status. So the African Union is advocating for governments to make the testing available free of charge in every hospital. So once anybody comes into the test, you can grab the person and just test them for hepatitis.
Okay, there's one question from the lady who asked. She's also saying, if one is vaccinated against B, are they predisposed to the other types?
No. Vaccination against B only protects you to only B. It still does not protect you against C, for instance, because there's no vaccination against C. That's where counseling comes in.
Now, a follow-up to that question. One is vaccinated against B.
Yes.
Is there any possibility of one contracting C or D?
No, they're mutually not together at all. Each one mutually inexclusive. Each one stand on his own. There's no, if we had a vaccination for B, for C, it would have been easier to say, okay, vaccinate for B and vaccinate for C. But unfortunately now we have only vaccination for B and there's no vaccination for C. So if you're vaccinated for B, you're only covered for B. You're still not covered for C. But the prevalence of C is very low. C is about 2.2% of the population. You find Uganda is about 1.8%. In Kenya is about 1.6%. Nigeria is about 2.2. So on the average in Africa is about 2.2% on the average. So that means when you test 100 people, you will have about 2 of them with hepatitis C. But when you test that same 100, you will be having about 11% of those with B. So the prevalence of B is higher. But luckily, we have vaccines for B. But a vaccine for B does not protect you against C.
Okay, Dr. Helen says
Okay,
yes.
Nkeme again.
Yes, Nkem.
Yeah, lifestyle, one's lifestyle, does it promote one contracting this hepatitis?
Oh,
Like
very well.
we have some lifestyle diseases, cancer, all those.
Well,
But lifestyle promoted.
yes, it can. You know, there's still a debate about the lifestyle emphasis of cancer or if it's genetic or so, but that's not the issue now. For instance, if you see the slide that I'm still showing, for the prevalence of hepatitis B and C is actually even higher with people that use drugs, you know, drug addicts and co, because most of them actually share their needles. And in fact, as a medical person, I'm not proud to say this, but we have outreaches where we go and we share out needles free of charge to people that still use drugs. So we say, okay, we know you cannot stop taking drugs for now, but here are needles and syringes for you to use. Please stop sharing. You see, because you now find out that most of them actually have HIV, hepatitis B, and they have hepatitis C because they keep sharing the same syringe and needle. So yes, lifestyle affects it. For instance, if somebody is predisposed to taking a lot of alcohol, it can damage the liver. Now, it may not cause hepatitis, but once it weakens the liver, the moment the virus comes in, it meets a weakened liver, and then it subdues it easily.
I have 3 people here, they're on alcohol.
I think, President, I saw a hand in the, I saw a hand. Helen, did you have your hand up?
So for instance, unprotected sex while we're waiting, promiscuity, yes. Lifestyle, yes. Yes, Helen, I can hear you, Rotary Helen.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Mike. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. It's a couple of things. One is I actually wrote in the group that somebody asked about the testing, the screening, whether it was available. And we have the 5-panel screening available in Uganda. And it's roughly about 25,000, which is about $6 roughly, privately. So that is available. And we have every year, I believe it's in August, we have a hepatitis day, July. 28th of August,
28th of July.
When we try to promote, yes, and we try to reduce the cost of the screening as well as the vaccinations. And Uganda has been actually offering hepatitis B as a childhood vaccination for about, I believe it's about 20 years now, which is different from where I was working in the UK. It wasn't actually offered as a childhood vaccine. There, they were focusing on people like ourselves, the medical workers. So there was very tight control. And if you were hepatitis B positive, we couldn't, as medical students, we couldn't go onto the wards to see patients clinically. So until we were vaccinated, screened and then vaccinated. So I think at the time it was more of a travel vaccine in the UK rather than mass vaccination. So Uganda actually went ahead, but I think that the uptake has not been maybe as good as it could be. But I think we are on the way, and I'm really excited about this whole Rotary thing, and I'd love to be involved with it. My question is, when I was initially vaccinated in the early 90s as a medical student, we had to have the test afterwards to confirm our immunity. And then somewhere along the way, that seems to have stopped. What is your take on that? Is it because I know that for some people, they have to keep having boosters? How many boosters, after how many boosters do you stop? What is your advice on that?
Sorry, take the last question, please, the advice.
It's the advice about, it's the advice about whether people need to be tested again. For instance, the high risk people like medical workers, because it used to be a requirement when I was a young doctor and a medical student. We had to have our serology actually checked to see whether the vaccine had worked. After the vaccination, it was not taken for granted that it had worked. So we would have our 3 injections, and then 6 weeks later, we would have a blood test to check how many units of the hepatitis B antibody was in our system. rather than just antibody being present, the actual figure. But now I can see it's not happening that much. What is your advice on that? Is it something we should still do for people who are high risk, or is it unnecessary? They still get the cover?
Well, okay, thank you first. Before I go into the question, I must commend what you're already doing in Uganda, like you said. In Nigeria, for instance, we just started the childhood vaccination as part of the Penta vaccines with polio and 6 other ones just about 8-9 years ago. So anybody over 10 obviously would not have enjoyed that. So you're like a decade ahead. Kudos to you. Well done. I wish other African countries will follow suit. But the problem we're having is that even in Nigeria, the rate of following through the 3 doses of the vaccination is just at 42%, which is sad. So even though most of them start the process, but maybe just 4 in 10 will actually complete the 3 doses for their kids. So it's a big problem, even at that. And I'm sure it's because of lack of awareness and co. So when we'll start talking about it and we have more medical persons like yourself add their voice to this, then more and more people will listen. Back to your specific question. There's truly no need for retesting except you want to test maybe the antigen itself. Because the moment you already introduce the antibodies, they will always be there. The level, like you rightly said, is what determines if they still have it. But then the presence of the antibodies, especially if you've taken the vaccine, does not now indicate that the person has the virus. That's where the problem is. So what will be a lot easier will be for those that are positive to continue to further the testing and be sure that they check them regularly to be sure they know the viral load. I mean, especially in this part of the world where we have very scarce resources. So I'd rather we channel our resources to looking at those that are more at risk and ensuring that we continue to monitor them and give them the best care. For healthcare providers, I think it's important to quickly vaccinate. In fact, I even advocate that for COVID, for instance. Even I believe the healthcare providers are the most at risk, and even more than elderly, it should be the first line of people that will get it. And funny enough, that's the same thing that has been advocated all over the world. So I don't think it should be any different for hepatitis 2. Vaccinate the first line people, but instead of revaccinating them again, you can keep checking them for C, because we do not have C, vaccines for C. But more importantly, ensure they take necessary precautions when handling patients so that they don't contract the C that doesn't have a vaccine. And then keep the scarce resources to continue to monitor other patients that have confirmed positive using the 5-panel test first, and then coming up with a treatment regimen.
Many thanks.
Did I see another hand up? Harry, did you have your hand up? Okay.
I think there are none. Yeah.
We are running out of time. Sergeant at Arms, do you want to do a happy dollar in a minute, and then we wind up? The one doing the vote of thanks prepares him or herself. Eunice, are you there?
Come again, President. Thank you, President. Were you talking to me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sergeant at Arms.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Dr. Mike, for the very good presentation. Today I'm not going to
charge anyone, but
Sekoko and is it ladies or what? I don't know what they call them.
I'm going to find everybody in Sekoko 5,000 shillings. I know why. I will explain later when you don't have gets. And then we have a happy dollar here at Kisugu Victoria View. It goes to our service projects. The happy dollar is 5,000 shillings. The number is in the screens there. Nakato, can you put it there, please? Nakato, are you there?
Yes, I am, SAA.
Okay, I'll give a happy dollar for Dr. Mike. Very nice presentation on hepatitis 0.
That is very nice of you.
Thank you.
What do you want me to do, SAA?
Can you put Dorothy's number in the chat room for the happy dollar?
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that.
And Alan, collect 5,000 shillings from all members of Sekoko. Back to you, President.
Thank you very much. Vote of thanks, Sekoko.
Thank you, my president, and it will be given by our Sekoko PDG Stephen Manje.
Thank you very much, President. Unfortunately, I think we couldn't have picked a better speaker this evening than Big Mike, PDG Mike Omotosho. Thank you for doing justice to the topic.
Yeah.
Creating awareness has been very timely, especially at this time. But most important of all is that this talk has been very enlightening and very informative. You've done it with so much passion, with so much technical knowledge, but the statistics were very worrying. And I think we need that sort of shock to take action. For instance, to know that 3 people die every minute, to learn today that 1 in every 5 people actually has hepatitis, to learn today that hepatitis kills more people than HIV, malaria, and TB put together is equally shocking. It's even worse to know that less than 10% of the population of those who have it actually are aware that they do have it. So thank you for doing it. All of us here, I think, should go out and take this message out. That's a starting point of saving lives. Thank you very much for sharing the strategies as well. Now becoming soldiers, fighting with hepatitis. I'll be asking the president, sorry, the NACOCO, the body group leader, to send a hug. But in the meantime, we must agree that the solution now lies in creating awareness. As Uganda, we have a family health day program, and the last 2 events added hepatitis B vaccination. So going forward, you are looking for sponsors that at every time we have an event of family health day, we add hepatitis awareness as part of the menu. With those remarks, Rotarians, let's all give a rousing, a deserving round of applause to our speaker, Dr. Big Mike Omotosho. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sekoko Stephen Manje. And
sorry, Nakoka, I wanted to add that to such that arms that we are ready as Sekokos to pay the 5,000 each.
No even more than that. They are so cheap. Can you imagine?
Okay, you're going to pay more than that to disappoint you.
Asking us for only 5,000. That's really making that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Final toast.
Can we have the final toast by Sekoko Bernard Stabire? Bernard?
Thanks, my president. Thanks, my body group leader. Let's adjust our agbadas. Let's straighten our jackets and neckties and hold up whatever you're drinking, water, juice, something alcoholic. But be sure you drink in moderation. You don't want to damage your liver. It's a very important organ we just had. And for a very humbling presentation in these times of COVID-19 and other health crisis, may I propose a toast to Rotary International.
Rotary the world over.
The world over.
Okay, over to you, President. And signing out, the mighty Sekoko are signing out.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's been very eye-opening, and we promise to take action for joining the action group.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll sign into my Rotary and find the
is he accounting the beers everybody's drinking?
That's why we're talking about 3 drunken.
I'm so scared of hepatitis.
I see. I'm glad the information Helen gave. When I left Cancer Institute this morning, they said I should go elsewhere. I went to Maria Stocks to screen again for
Prostrate.
prostrate. They told me it's 30,000, which is cheaper from what I heard from Helen. Hepatitis is cheaper than screening for. So I'll get in touch with you and do that one. My prostate is okay. Yes. I want to screen for hepatitis as quickly as possible. So Helen, I will give you a call.
That's
Hi,
great.
President
Thank you.
Peter. How are you?
Yes, is next to
Hi, thank you. How are you, Vijay? I was asking the doctor, why is it when you've done when you're told about the three tests, not the three vaccination processes, when you do 1, 2, and maybe you miss the third one, you've got to start a phase. Why is that?
Is that again?
When you're doing the vaccination, you do the one and then the 1 month and then the one after 6 months. Why is it when you miss one, if you miss the last one, you've got to start afresh? Why is that?
Okay, this is what happened. The first one is actually the booster dose. Basically, it's the one to introduce inoculation. Most vaccines are actually activated viruses.
Closing now.
So the live viruses which wings have been clipped. So they're not strong enough to cause the illness and ginger the body. So the concept of vaccination is to encourage your body to do the fighting. The vaccines are not the drugs.
Okay.
They just encourage of the system itself, of the body. So what they do is they introduce enough. That's why they call it an inoculation. They introduce enough to ginger the body to fight, so that by the time the real virus comes in, the body is already prepared. It's not new again, and then it can attack it, basically. So the second one is to actually do more. In fact, there are debates, maybe the third one is useful or not, but in a situation like this, it's better to just give it. In fact, I didn't mention that because when you give people that kind of opportunity, you give them an inch, they take a ruler. So actually that third dose, you can take it up to 6 months after the first dose, the vaccine. It doesn't have to be 60 days after. So the first one immediately, then 30 days later, and then 6 months after the first dose. But once you tell people that, they say, I'll take it tomorrow, I'll take it next month, then they never take it.
They never take it.
So, but if they take it from 30, okay, so they take it and that's a year. So the idea, it's been debated even in medical circles, but then it's been proven to be useful and relevant.
Okay.
So it's better to go through all the 3 doses. But if you do only 2 doses, no, it's like water, you've got to start afresh. Or if you do just 1 dose, which is worse. So it's important to complete all the 3 doses.
Okay. Okay.
Dr. Mike, I think please you share the slide with the president so that we can have it.
Okay, if I can't share with the president, I'll share with you via WhatsApp so that you can share with the president.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mike. It was really, really a pleasure to have you. And our BG is the mighty Sekoko. What do you call it in Nigerian? Tolo Tolo?
Tolo Tolo, that is Turkey. Turkey is Sekoko.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Tolo Tolo is Sekoko here.
Sekoko, okay.
I've forgotten what's called in what's it called in Yoruba language.
I think it's Tolo Tolo too. That's the
Is it
usual.
Tolo Tolo? Okay.
You know,
that's the general name.
So it's an alien bird, so that's the name almost every tribe calls it. It's like Gari. Gari doesn't have any particular name anywhere.
Any other name is Gari. Yes. That's good.
All right, so I think I can sign out now.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes.
And,
thank you for having me anytime. I wish to connect with the club much later.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you will come back again, President. You will come back again for further. Yes.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Maybe next week.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Super. Especially with this topic. Yeah. I think we have a special welcome message for Helen. Helen, thanks for coming again.
Yeah.
Helen, we love you at KVV, and we're just saying it's a question of time. All our arms are open to receive you. This is your home. Thanks for
Oh,
joining
thank
us.
you very much.
Come again next week, Tuesday. Yes.
Thank you very much.
And please bring Sonia along with you.
Helen, somebody.
Yes.
Helen, somebody. Nakato is telling me. Nakato is telling me you work with Kevina.
Yes, I do.
I will come there.
I do. Yes.
I will come there.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And Mr. President, I'll come with Sonia next Tuesday. She's our administrator and our HR consultant.
That's good. We shall be at the Green Lounge. At the Green Lounge, just along Zimmer Road. Okay.
Good evening, Enkem. How are you?
Dr. Helen, there's a question here from our service director. Sorry, she's asking: is there anything else you specialize? Is asking: is there anything else you specialize in as KVV Medical Center? Is there something you specifically specialize in?
Sorry, there was an echo. I didn't. Please repeat the question.
Bernard, I think I just used the name Bernard Tabairi. He's asking: is there anything you specialize in specifically at KVV Medical Center?
I am a family physician. I am the main practitioner. I'm a family physician, but also a hospital physician. But of course, now I'm working in community. So I look after the whole family range, and I've done that since the year 2000. So I look after from the unborn, so I can advise you before conception until the elderly. So the wide range. But I would say if there was any particular areas that I tend to focus on, it would be looking after children and then chronic disease management. But the elderly seem to like me as well.
Thank you.
That's good.
Bernard is covered.
I'm not unveiled. I'm not yet above 81.
No, he's saying it's above 18, but not what?
Not 81 yet.
81 yet. Dr. Helen, that's being here, KVV. And I know you will say next week as well.
Enkem, good evening. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, Vijay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Nice presentation today.
Yeah.
Peter, how are you doing?
Thank you, Vijay. How are you today?
I'm good.
Lovely.
Our person is still there.
Yeah.
And Bija, you've been very quiet today. Is there anything you want to tell us?
We're happy to have you.
We're always happy to have you with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. President, what are you drinking?
A cup of tea.
that mug is too big.
but I am big as well.
Nigeria, we call it a bag.
I'm not going to the thing we're talking about. In terms of
this is the time for World Cup. Yeah. President, this is the time for vodka and you are having tea at this time.
I'm at home, so I have to be a good example to my girls.
Okay.
I hope they know the contents of that mug.
they brought it to me as we're having the meeting, so they know what they put in.
But there's a bottle down there under the table.
No, it's not
which
there.
you're using to refill. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, President.
There's no bottle today.
Those are your tricks, yeah.
Thank you. But next week we shall be at the Green Lounge.
We are here.
Yeah, no, today took the day off. I took the day off, so I decided to remain indoors the whole day.
You can see the whole of Sekoko is here. Bernard,
Wait, can I see the table? Can we see the table? Want to see the table?
You want to see the table? No. After this talk, we can't show the table.
I can't show the table.
The contents are not compliant.
We want to see the table.
But there's a coffee glass here.
From a dark roast. Dark roast. It's a dark roast.
And another one.
Dr. Henry, you can see the kind of people you're going to join. Yeah.
Even Kim is having coffee.
Even Kim is having coffee.
Special brew coffee. Special one.
Kim normally doesn't take things after 7 o'clock, so I'll be surprised if he's taking a coffee.
No, I took it at 6 and was through by 7.
But the table doesn't look too bad.
Yeah.
The table doesn't look too bad.
No, we are displayed.
It's been cleared.
They're clearing
Otherwise,
it.
we'd have been disappointed.
We came at 6, so.
So you've cleaned up by now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I think it was a good meeting. We went beyond time this time.
Nobody was complaining.
It's only then we started complaining.
Nobody even cared. It was such a fantastic talk.
Yes, it
Very,
was.
very enlightening. Yeah.
It's compensated. We've forgotten the Raungu.
Yes.
Okay.
And he came with saying in the one that it's a cocoa.
He did what?
He came with saying in the one that it's a cocoa.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ekoko. Hopefully we'll just have to boost up the chat for the 19th so that we can have more members present.
Yeah. Please. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you, President. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. See you.
Good night, Vijay. Thank you.